Hello, this is Sherry, and I'm going to be reading some news tonight. I am in a considerable amount of right arm pain. Thank you to the BloodWiz Craft Family Blood Bank. Pretty sure about that. I'll try to speak clearly when I'm saying something legitimate. Not that what I say in a muffled tone is not true. It just may be of an illegitimate source. So we're going to start out with the news. And the first topic that I'm going to start out with tonight is from the UN News. Hold on, let me get the name right. It's just called the UN News. And I want to reiterate something. This is not a real radio station. It was originally called the Radio Room. I did not name it that, and I did not make it the Radio Room. So, just to get that out of the way. And so I decided to take control of my own life by taking control of the Radio Room. And that was I felt pejorative, being that this is also my bedroom and home office. So, I renamed the Radio Room WSTFU, and it's not a radio station by choice. Okay? Now, there is radio on my computer, which I cannot turn off. So, just to put that one out there. I've tried, and I can't. In fact, there's a lot of things on my computer that even with a group policy, I can't control. But back to the news. I'm going to read the news that I see because of how I constructed my Twitter account, which is a personal account, not a group account. I know they're taking down a lot of the group texting, group messaging apps because they're putting a little bit of an unfair burden on those of us who don't want to be in those groups. And I do know that I've received several over the years, and it's getting a little bit more specific, I guess, the location. But I'm sure Facebook must be a mess with the group texts. I can't even imagine. That's why on Facebook, that's where I follow my actual real-life friends, who we don't focus on here on Twitter at all. Most of them aren't interested in Twitter. In fact, some of my friends, well, that doesn't matter. Okay, so anyway, like I said, this is an account where I don't have any followers. And if I wanted to be on my other account, WSTFU, which I'm protesting by not doing right now, then that's where I would go to interact with my Twitter friends. But I have made this little account to reflect sort of an exilish feeling that I have experienced. Not because I feel like I'm in exile, but because I feel like I'm stuck with some people who need to get a life. So anyway, here's the news. So if you don't have access, if you legitimately don't have access to real news sources, or perhaps you're locked into an intranet or a closed caption environment where it's impossible for you to get to these things, like some young people I know don't have Facebook accounts. And okay, this is my own news right here. This is news from WSTY. That's WSTY. WSTY. And it's not a real radio station. It's a Twitter account. Just to make that clear, because I do actually maintain the laws of the FCC to be valid. Yes, I do support an open internet, but you got to be real careful with the word open. And also with getting internet, being able to access the internet for free, because then you start bumping into other people that are on intranet, which is what it is. It's an intranet. So you may find yourself isolated with some people you really don't want to be isolated with. And I'm not talking about the bad robber guys or hacker guys. I'm talking about like church people. Do you really want to sit in church 24/7? Probably not. I know I don't. So that's why this is a secular space, my Twitter account. It's a secular space. And a secular, no, that does not mean atheist. Secular means a place where I do not proclaim or promote any religion. Meaning also that all valid religions are acceptable in my Twitter world. And back to what I was saying about young people who aren't on Facebook. Now, I'm sure, like the rest of you, that's a surprising thing. Kids that aren't on Facebook but are on Twitter. I mean, that's kind of strange, and I'm going to explain it like like it was explained to me by a young lady. I said, "Well, are you on Facebook?" And she said, "No, she's not on Facebook." And I said, "Well, that's odd." And she said, "I have a limited Twitter account." And what is that? What does that mean, limited Twitter account? Well, she didn't tell me because I don't think she really knows. But I know. It's a Twitter account that for some reason is caught up in an intranet or closed caption environment. Now, that's not the definition. That's just kind of the umbrella. And I'm going to use that word umbrella on purpose here. Under the umbrella of an intranet or a closed caption or both. And if you want the definitions to these words, I'll post them from audio file because we like to be really very clear with definitions here. So, and I'm going to start editing these videos so there's not as much dead space or garbled space between what I say and my train of thought. But the reason that this young lady has a limited Twitter account is because she's not in control of her block lists. If you have a limited Twitter account, which I suspect even some high-ranking politicians in this country have a limited Twitter account. They may not have asked for it, but for whatever reason, they get put on an abusive account list, meaning that their account was alleged to have done something abusive, and I don't think this is a legitimate Twitter API, and that their account will auto-block people. Now, there's one young lady who I've made an exception for in my way of dealing on social networking. If someone blocks me, that's it. That doesn't happen often, but unless it just depends. Okay, but for the most part, if someone blocks me, I have no interest in ever pursuing that. Typically, it's me blocking them. I think I probably block twice as many people as I follow. I will block people for any type of association with any type of group that's promoting hate on most of the time. Sometimes I think people can't see everything on the surface of what they're doing. For instance, you may get involved with a charity that has a member or a board member that you weren't informed of. Now, that would be something that is very serious and will have to be worked out later in a court of law. Because I know that nobody wants Jim Baker to be their charity drive CEO. Especially since the motherfucker changed the spelling of his name to B-A-K-K-E-R. It is the same Jim Baker. Same guy. And he's a dirtbag. And a weirdo. He was married to Tammy Faye Baker, who's pretty cool. I don't know any status. I don't have any recent status on her, but I do on him. He is quote unquote alive and definitely well. Quote unquote alive. We'll get to that later. So I'm gonna wrap this up because this ended up kind of being my own little news spot. with the limited Twitter account. I wanted to explain what that is, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who have a limited Twitter account, which I don't know to be a valid Twitter API. They have a limited Twitter account that blocks people automatically because, according to that API, they have done something abusive on their Twitter account. And which is really strange because the young lady told me, well, you can't imagine what's on my Twitter account, what I've done. And after I got reunited with her, I realized there was nothing there. I don't know what she thought she had done, but she hadn't done anything abusive or said anything abusive to anyone. So there's some young people caught up, in this crap. And to deny these young people the ability to get a Facebook account just seems wrong. Why can they get on Snapchat? Why can they get on Twitter but not Facebook? Where friends connect with each other for friendship purposes. I keep my Facebook very light. It's just a few friends. So I don't experience a lot of trouble on Facebook. But I would imagine there's massive trouble on Facebook for people who have humongous friend loads. I know one gal who's a good friend of mine from Indiana. We've been friends for years. She used to have this just, gluttonous Facebook account of friends. Well, she has unfollowed almost all of them. So a lot of people are paring back on that. Used to, you could make friends online. It's very difficult now. Very difficult. I have some friends I've been friends with for over a decade that I met online. But I don't meet people like that anymore. Nada. So, anyway, that's going to wrap this one up. I'm going to leave you with that thought. Limited Twitter account. Sorry that I'm not going to edit this video, I don't think. There's a little bit of a learning curve on the video editing software that I have. It's professional, and it's made for small loads and large loads both, but it's got a learning curve to it. So the only video editing software that I'm familiar with is no longer on the market, and I don't use software that's not licensed. Okay, that's it. Limited Twitter account blocks people on its own. And you can start thinking about some situations where you might have noticed that happening. Excessive blocking from someone, except me, which if I block you, I guarantee you I blocked you on purpose. But so far, but no guarantees. I mean, I'm doing my best to keep out of that intranet closed caption, and I know this is the only source to the outside that some people have. So that's what this is for, and like I said, I inherited it, the radio room, which became WSTFU, which is now WSTY, which is just a Twitter handle. It is not a radio station. Good night.